Annual growth in Africa's third largest economy has averaged around 10% as the country rebuilt after a 27-year civil war ended in 2002. But the IMF predicts growth will fall to 4.5% this year and 3.9% in 2016. Agriculture and manufacturing have been squeezed out by oil combined with chronic corruption and dilapidated infrastructure.
Let's move to the largest economy east of the continent. Kenya's central bank Governor Patrick Njoroge has helped to steady a depreciating shilling and drawn public appreciation for his austere lifestyle and rejection of corruption. In the next report, the Yale-trained banker talks about his first 6 months in office.
In a nation where many live in neighborhoods without main electricity or proper roads, members of parliament are paid about $94,000 annually. Dwarfing the average Kenyan's $1,290 a year, Patrick Njoroge has succeeded in stabilizing the plummeting shilling.
I am who I am, and I believe in living in a certain way, which is I don't want to be hampered by, X number of motor cars. I mean, how could you possibly drive 5 motor cars at once? I mean, if you can't let me know. But I think you can only drive one at any one time. Why not stick to that one car, or when it is in service, use another one, whatever. I mean, simple life. The big man sort of syndrome, which is the only way to show who I am is by flaunting all the possessions that I have. It's kind of dangerous.
The Yale-educated banker who was appointed in June talked about how monetary policy was anchoring inflation, steadying a currency that was dropping like a stone, and laying the basis for sustained economic growth. But he politely and carefully fielded questions about what he called his simple life, which has fascinated Kenyans more used to a daily diet of stories about corruption in high office. When tight monetary policies appeared to starve smaller banks of funds after the Imperial Bank case, the governor reversed course by providing the money markets with more funding, a move welcomed for its promptness.
I think this has allowed us a bit of time to go through the existing deposits or depositors' existing loans to verify whether this actually exists, and verify that these are true deposits, loans that you do have specific documentation and all those other things. And we expect that this work will be done and completed by end March of next year. And at that point, we can decide on a way forward. In the interim, of course, we are waiting for the shareholders. The shareholders, and we are urging them to come forward and provide the needed resources to reopen the bank. All options remain on the table.
Until now, he said, the private shareholders had not been forthcoming with extra capital that the central bank and the state-owned receiver had said would be needed to reopen Imperial Bank, which was shut on October the 13th. Njoroge acknowledged that supervisors did not interrogate in a fundamental way the data at the bank, which used its IT system to disguise its activities.
We do realize that we should have done, that we missed on what was going on. That is what I think, that's the concern we have, that our supervision did not detect this. The direction for strengthening is clear. One is we need to learn from it. What exactly made us, what processes could we have had in place that would have helped us catch these things. Now, it requires, for instance, having somebody who is IT savvy on the team, IT survey, somebody who understands IT or the process or whatever else it is. So not just looking at the reports that are coming to you, but actually interrogating deeper.
Heavy rain sent food prices soaring and pushed Kenyan inflation to 7.32% in November, but it remains within the government's preferred band. Njoroge said core inflation was slipping, which suggested the headline rate will fall.
The point there is that it's not driven by aggregate demand. This is not sort of a demand pool sort of concern. It's really the rains. I wish I could say something about controlling the weather. Kenyans are known to be entrepreneurs, but I don't think we've made it to the point where we can, in some sense, do something and come out with a particular outcome on the weather.
Kenya's economy is forecast to grow from 5.8% to 6% this year.
So the climate change conference in Paris ends this weekend, but there's a particular discussion about having burger made completely out of green matter. Let's have some burger, shall we?
Where else but Paris for the cutting edge of debate on food? This time, though, not with the gourmet in mind, but the planet. This beef burger's not, in fact, beef, but entirely made from plants. The Impossible Burger is one way to hit target for eating less meat and to generate around a quarter of the emissions cut needed to keep global warming within 2 degrees. But even the most virtuous of vegetarians may still prefer chocolate. That too is a challenge which could hit local farmers badly.
Chocolate, which a lot of people absolutely love, we're really worried about that because a lot of the areas where they grow cocoa, the essential ingredient of chocolate, are very vulnerable to climate change, and we may not be able to grow cocoa there anymore.
Some of the farmers demonstrated in the French capital. They say the big food companies like Danone are responsible for huge greenhouse gas emissions. Small-scale peanut agriculture is, they say, the future. Developing nations may also need to help to adjust, prompting U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry to announce a doubling of grant funding for just that to around $860 million a year.
Prepared to do our part, and we will not leave the most vulnerable nations among us to quite literally weather the storm alone.
Thought of food here too, as some French entrepreneurs offer a way of growing strawberries in town centers. Saving on food mouths, but not, they claim, on flavor.
Okay, those nice-looking burgers there made of green matter. Channels Television producer Ayola Kazim is covering the climate change conference in Paris, and we're going to put a call through to her to bring some of those burgers along when she returns to Nigeria over the weekend. I'm going to have a taste of that. Do have a great weekend, everyone, and I'll see you next time.